Good evening, Chiradeep.
Good evening,
Chiradeep,
Niti. Yeah,
am I audible?
yeah, you are very much audible.
Great. So I guess
I'm
we'll
just,
just
I'm just,
wait.
I'm just checking whether we are there on LinkedIn.
We are.
Yes,
I guess a few people have already joined us. So good evening. And sadly, this is LinkedIn Live video where we are unable to see you. So please mark your presence by just dropping a hi. Hi, Shifali. Good to see you. Welcome and thank you so much for joining in.
hi, Chef Ali.
Great. I would request others as well to please let's greet each other and wait for a few seconds, a few minutes rather, for others. Great, Kalpana. Hi, good to see you. I mean, and we are truly, truly grateful for the both of you who are our such regular audience. You really motivate us to
Not,
continue with this.
not just both of them, three of them. Chef Ali has joined, and
That's all.
yeah, Kalpana and Shahzad also. Shahzad is uh, he has 100% attendance in our podcast. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. We are truly grateful. And this not just motivates us, this is our true inspiration to be here every alternate week. And this time we even changed the date, still, the day rather, and still we find all of you here. Good evening, Shehzad. Long life. Chiradeep was just mentioning you. Every time here we'll see him as a LinkedIn user, but that's now we know that's Shehzad. Just stay with us. Maybe we'll begin by 8:05. Until that time, please let us know how do you find the topic? How is it that you people are able to relate to this topic? Yeah, please keep your comments flowing.
Welcome, Rakesh ji. Good to see you again in our podcast.
Great. Good evening, Rakesh.
And and I have a question actually, Niti, if you allow me to ask this
Oh, please
question.
go. It's
So
allowed.
my question to our audience is like heart over haste. What do you think? What comes to your mind just with that title? You can write
Ah,
it in the comment section. I mean,
that was a nice.
don't check the details of maybe you already have checked it, but when you saw for the first time, uh, what did come to your mind in the very beginning?
Yeah, even if you have read the detail, but still, your first
Yeah,
impression of heart over haste. How is it that you relate to this phrase? We are waiting to hear from you all and then we begin.
because we spend more time curating or crafting the title of the podcast than other thing. So I'm just curious.
So yeah, that's the biggest argument or the discussion or the brainstorming that we have is around
Yeah,
the title rather
correct.
than anything else. We haste to react and regret later.
Okay,
Wow.
wonderful.
Great.
Thank you,
Yes.
Kalpana. Expecting Shahzad and others to comment as well as we begin. What do you think, Kalpana? Sorry, Niti.
Kali.
we should begin.
Okay. Shifali, Rakesh, please feel free to share your responses even whenever. Listen to
Yeah.
your heart rather than just going with the flow. Wow,
Okay. That's Rakesh ji.
great. Which we generally don't do.
Yeah. Listen to your heart rather than just going with the flow. So let's listen to our heart and start.
So as we begin, I mean, I would first like to, though all of you know me, yet a brief introduction, not an introduction, basically just taking you through that how did it, like, why is it that we are doing it, and how is it that I could relate to this entire concept that we bring in front of you. So, as a behavioral trainer, I am often required to complete my sessions within tight time frames for each group I handle. In one of the training experiences, I walked into the classroom fully prepared to cover a significant portion of my syllabus. So there was a lot of pressure where I knew that I have to complete it no matter what. So with that time frame, I entered the class and my plan was to deliver two PowerPoint decks in one session. And I really didn't mind even if I had to overrun that session. I was like, the only focus was to complete. However, as I looked at the participant, something felt off. That made me ask them a very simple question: how are you doing? That question opened the door to their honest responses, which completely, I went completely silent listening to them. They shared how overwhelmed, stressed, and drained they felt, having been engaged in back to back sessions with hardly any breaks. I paused and I asked if there was anything I could do to help because instantly I could not think of anything else. But I felt that this is at least because I didn't know what to do now listening to their responses. So I just asked if there is anything that I could do. And there was such a simple request, a straightforward: give us a break. I gave them to refresh, relax. When they returned, although slightly better, it was clear that they were still too exhausted to focus. At that moment, I had a choice. Either I push through to complete my syllabus or prioritize their well being. What do you think I could have done? Or what did I do? Please tell me. Chiradeep, what do you think should have been the right response there?
Yeah, I don't know what you must have done. Uh,
Had you been
but
there, what would you have done?
yeah, I would have said, give us freedom from overburdening with more heavy stuff because we have been we are there in the class or whatever it is for so long, no, and
So I would,
my attention span is much lesser than others. I don't know. Okay.
no, when I had to make a choice whether to push through or to prioritize, I chose the latter. So
Mm.
instead of continuing with the session, we spent time playing games, laughing, singing songs, sharing jokes, anecdotes. And I wrapped up the day without touching the planned material. I just couldn't have the heart to do it.
Wow.
They, that very moment when they realized that the 2 hours just went by, that what stayed with me was their heartfelt gratitude.
Mm.
Their genuine thank yous made me reflect deeply. And it reminded me again of one of my favorite quotes, which is this one is by Maya Angelou's, which
Mm.
says, and I quote, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So
Mm.
that moment defined empathy for me.
Mm.
Understanding someone's need rather than completing my agenda with them. So that was
Right.
empathy for me.
Correct. Correct. That must have been challenging. But thank you for setting the tone so perfectly, Niti, with your um, practical story. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Heart Over Haste. I am Chiradi Patra, and as always, I'm delighted to be joined by my wonderful co host, Niti Kandari. We are thrilled to have you with us tonight. How often do you feel overwhelmed at work? Let us know through your comments or by reacting with emojis. No, that's important. Then
Yes.
only we know that, yes, you are listening. We will be validated. So keep
That's also
engaging.
a form of empathy that you will show towards
Yeah,
us.
please, please. Yes, keep engaging with us. Yes, Niti.
Absolutely. So here, before you feel and you start to leave the podcast thinking we are here to define empathy. So please, we know that all of you are very well aware with the basic meaning of empathy. So we
Mm,
are not going to get into the definition of empathy. The key, however, is that empathy in action can vary depending on the situation. So we can have a definition of empathy, but at the same time, we cannot say that this is the set format and this is how you need to act in an empathetic way.
mm,
So it differs whenever you are in a situation, you may act differently. Like right now, we asking you to keep engaging with us through comments, through emojis, is also a form of empathy that you people are showing towards us, even by attending our podcast, maybe. So, in today's world, it's hard to imagine a space where empathy isn't needed. Whether it is in, you talk about the social gathering, you talk about our families, or even our workspaces. Workspaces where we spend 8 to 10 hours a day.
mm,
And as we continue this discussion, I would request you to please let us know that have you ever experienced a situation at work where you hoped for empathy from a colleague or boss, a manager, whoever that position could be, but you didn't receive it? And how did it impact you? So here, if you do not want to mention your organization, we are not even asking for that, or the name of the people. Let's not mention. It
mm,
could be anywhere. If you are comfortable sharing that with us on this forum, please go ahead.
mm.
So your responses are have in a way stopped. So I we hope you are there with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also wondering
Somehow,
why.
yes. Have we disconnected? Are you people there? Is there any way we can know? Maybe uh, again, an emoji is the fastest way that we can know instead of their comments.
Yeah, or flurry of what do you call reactions.
Yeah.
That also
Some
we do.
I wonder. Yes, Facer. So yes, Ranjana
Yes,
is here. Hello,
yes.
Ranjana. Welcome to our podcast and thank you.
Wow,
Such
no
oh,
such expectations at work. Okay,
great to have you here, Rastha.
okay.
Glad you joined. So yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kalpana wrote something.
as a newcomer to the job, right after from college, I expected the experienced teammate in the office to help. Yes, support.
Yeah.
We get that, and that's a minimum expectation that we have, that when we are new, we want people around us to just be that support system for us, guiding us. But I was left with her taunts.
Mm,
You don't know the simple thing.
mm.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Kalpana. I can't even imagine what you might have went through while listening to such a response from others. Hi, Ajay. Good to have you. It was very disheartening when I faced it, Ranjana. Absolutely, absolutely. We can relate and we hear you. We completely hear you and feel you when you share such things with us. Thank you for sharing.
Wonderful, wonderful. These comments actually make our podcast reach, and it enhance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that experience was a bit of spirit dampening. Whoa.
Yes, Kalpana. Completely relatable. Yes, it is. Right. Okay. So we can continue, I guess, as the comments keep pouring.
And the funny part about this podcast is, I mean, you have to believe me if I say this. It took some convincing to get Neeti on board with this topic for today's discussion. I mean, tonight's discussion. She felt that empathy was already being talked about everywhere,
Okay,
which
which is
she,
not a,
yeah,
which is a fact. Which is a
yeah,
fact,
that's
Chiradeep,
true.
that
Everybody
it is
talks about it.
everybody talks about empathy.
Yeah, though we want empathy to be saturated in everybody's heart, but it is saturated online on
On
social
paper.
media.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So it was quite difficult for me to convince Niti to go with this topic. And as she shared, it's something which was talked about everywhere, and that people might be overloaded with information on this particular subject. But what ultimately changed her mind was the research I came across, which I'm going to definitely show you. Um, so it truly surprised us both when I did the survey. And you can see on the screen, you can thumbs up and show emoji, uh, confirming us that you can see the slides, the statistics. So the statistics are really heart wrenching when we found out these statistics, and it's horrible. Not only this, even last year we know that 26 years old girl uh, who could not take the pressure, work pressure, and she had a massive heart attack and she died. And this is horrible. Actually, this is horrible. I mean, we do understand like these layoffs and quitting the jobs or work pressure are inevitable in corporate sectors, but even I have another slide which shows layoff statistics in 2024. Like, can you believe 98,000, almost 98,000 tech employees were thrown out? It's horrible. But it's quite normal. I mean, sometimes it is the need of the hour for a corporate owner, for a company owner. But the problem is how they are being asked to leave the job. That is more important. No, whether it was empathetic or it was just. I mean, I just Niti was. I think you were telling me about how someone was handed over like letter through like Darwanji, okay, gatekeeper, uh, and asking the employee to leave, which is demeaning, which is unempathetic and highly demeaning. What do you think, Niti?
Absolutely. I mean, why are we just referring to things that are mentioned in newspapers, or we are going through the stats? We have people around us who feel the same, who feel the pressure, and we hear it's such a common statement that I'm not able to sleep properly. I am on pills because of the work pressure. So when we hear such statement, it's our reflection that what kind of environment have we created for people to work, and do we even expect them to thrive at in such workplaces? do we expect ourselves to thrive at such workplaces? And be, I strongly believe that we cannot just say that this is the responsibility of the company, because we are a part of the company. Somewhere this makes me, I just recall one of the my favorite Mahatma Gandhi's quote, which says that do to others what you want others to do to you. So somewhere, what are we doing to others? If we want an empathetic environment, so we should also initiate an empathetic environment. And definitely, it was heartbreaking to see these suicide statistics and the alarming number of people losing their jobs. And again, as Chiradeep rightly mentioned, it's inevitable. In corporate sector, in work, we may face a difficult situation where we might have to ask people to leave. At the same time, these people have worked for our company, worked for us, with us. How's the approach? How are we telling them to leave? That's the key. The tone, the attitude towards this such an approach. And because uh, when people are being asked to leave, because somewhere all these stats show that they are not in a supportive environment. Burnout that we face while working in such an environment slowly erodes the passion and excitement everyone once felt for working at their dream company. So once we want, after we have completed our education, we really want to get into our dream company. But as soon as we enter that dream company, it becomes a nightmare. And whose fault is that? So somewhere I believe that this clearly indicates something somewhere is deeply incorrect. There's something that we are doing which is wrong and might change.
Mm,
Definitely can change with the kind of efforts we want to put in such, as we said, heart over haste. And as one of someone mentioned, that not to regret, just to think before we respond to others.
mm.
Yeah.
Then, Niti, some Indian companies like we were discussing, if you remember, like TCS, Infosys, and Wipro have been acknowledged for their efforts in creating empathetic and inclusive workplaces. But let's be honest, it's still not enough.
Absolutely, I completely agree, that's not
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. The intense work pressures, tight deadlines, late hours, harassment, bullying, poor communication, lack of support, and insufficient resources push people to their breaking point. We all agree to this. Even if you
Yes.
have a lots of events and I mean comforting sessions arranged in the company, but when the practicality when the actual when the ground reality when we check, it's way different. And this often leads to behavior that feels out of character, snapping at colleagues, guilt about not being present enough for their family, heightened irritability. I have seen they come back home with, I mean, height of irritability, and they shout at their children and spouses, uh, and a constant state of mental and emotional exhaustion. So these things are not supposed to happen if we are trying to create a world where we can thrive together and productive as well as stay mentally healthy.
And imagine we say that we work for the family,
Mm,
work for family, work for having good food, be leading a
mm,
better life, and
mm,
ultimately, what we do, we are ruining that those moments.
mm.
So, with that kind of nature, what mood or what mind frame do we believe our employees or we will carry to our workspaces? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And in such situations, no matter how much organizations emphasize empathy, it often remains a concept on paper. It's just on paper.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe, or we have understood and we discussed about that, we cannot show empathy when we are overwhelmed with stress. It's not possible. It's like trying to balance grace with anxiety or anger with compassion. I mean, they are two extremes.
Mm,
They simply can't coexist. When we are constantly pushing our limits, rushing to meet targets, chasing financial goals within tight timelines, empathy inevitably takes a backseat. How we expect ourselves to be mindful that, oh, I need to listen to this person. The only thing that comes to our mind instantly, he missed the deadline because of which I was criticized.
mm,
So we Ranjana wants to share something which says that I think that stress bursts out when there is no transparency between the employees and the employer, and it gets piled up time and again. If everyone takes an initiative that can open up and share what he is going through, stress can be minimized.
mm,
Absolutely in sync, Ranjana. That's what we are spending 8 to 10 hours of our time at our workspace. So what kind of environment are we creating there? So we are not saying that work is our second family. We do not want, but at least we want an environment where we can thrive, we can work peacefully, fulfill
mm.
our own passion. So yes, Sanjana, on point. Absolutely.
Thank you
Others,
for sharing that.
please.
Yeah. Anybody else has something to say on what we are discussing?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just see my name and a thank you, but your name comes out to be as a LinkedIn user again.
That's
So
Shehzad. Shehzad.
let's change that again. Okay. Yeah.
So what takes responsibility? Who takes responsibility for this? Like what we are discussing. Corporate culture must embed empathy as a core value and ensure it is practiced at the ground level. That's what we were discussing actually. Not just left as a theoretical concept. Empathetic leadership has a direct and positive impact on job, and it's how the employees are performing, and it's essential for creating a healthier work environment, which is
Which is
absolutely
absolutely.
needed. What do you think, Niti?
Yes, yes, work environment. So we were just thinking, how does right now Kalpana mentioned how does empathy look like at our workspace, right? So this is how empathy looks like when we listen to someone and we are prioritizing people rather than maybe the deadlines. So here, or it can, or as simple as be standing by a colleague who was criticized for creating an incorrect presentation or missing a deadline. Now, here, standing by doesn't mean excusing the mistake. It means sharing a coffee or tea with them, helping them feel supported despite their error. Because, come on, I mean, errors and mistakes are a part of our natural growth process. That's the journey that we all have. So why not? What are we doing? We are just offering that support by sharing a tea or a coffee with them. So why can't
Mm.
we do that? That's empathy. That's empathy at a workplace. Yeah. So
Kalpana says there
yes,
needs to be cohesive execution of these rules on the part of government as well.
Kalpana, here I believe that it's more than what our now again, that's just an opinion that I have, and please correct me if I am wrong. It's not about the rules, it's about the people. There are so many rules that the government make, or even as we were discussing, even the organizations in their core values have empathy these days, but it comes down to the people whether they follow it or not, whether they take it seriously or not. So I believe that, yeah, as government they might pass such a rule, but it comes down ground level. We are we following it? Do we want to follow it? That's the question, isn't it?
Kalpana, you
Please.
can say yes,
Yeah,
no,
please. Or whatever. Please
agreed,
continue.
disagreed. Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
But let's continue the
as
conversation.
yeah, as Kalpana comments or reacts, let me just go ahead. Uh, so I have another example of how we can show empathy. We will read out that later on, a bit later. It could be showing up for a colleague who poured their heart into a project, only for it to be shelved due to lack of funding. No, it happens often. It's about offering kind words, not as a formality, but because you genuinely understand and empathize with their disappointment. That is what I think. That is one way.
Absolutely. And yes, Kalpana, I agree. Here, the example that you, I think that's the example even Chiradeep mentioned here.
Yeah.
And your point is that it's about people, but in cultural setups like ours, some cohesion is required. Or what was done after that? Well, it was what was done after that? Discussions everywhere. You talk about Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Mm.
everywhere there were discussions, only discussions. That's what the agenda is. That like we discuss more, we act less.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take your point definitely. And here Ranjana says fear of rejection and getting judged is becoming an obstacle in organizations these days. Hence, we all are stressed out. So coming down to people, how are we behaving ourselves? Agreed. We all have valid points. So at least let us, whoever, so we are how many of us? Seven, eight, 10, whoever we together who are attending today's podcast, at least we going back at our workplaces, bringing that one difference of empathy. So every person matters, every person. So and let's make that human change chain where we bring that difference in our environment. We initiate that difference by being empathetic. And I believe that in this fiercely competitive world, let's not constantly wield the sharp blade of rude, arrogant, and indifferent words to prove our superiority. Because that's what we have been doing. As you said, it's a cutthroat world where everyone, it's competitive, people are judging. And the rudeness, because words play a vital role there. And instead of let's focus on fostering an environment where everyone can thrive and reach to their full potential. So the way we use our words make an entire difference. Ajay has an opinion. I am glad, Ajay, that you are sharing with on this forum and you are still here. Good to see you that you haven't left. Situation would be the reason generally people don't expect a pessimistic situation. Yeah, nobody who wants to stay in a pessimistic situation.
Uh,
Yes.
be- Before I continue, I would like to share a quote.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quote which I want to share for all of us.
Please go ahead.
I hope everybody can see it.
Yes, yes.
It's a quote by the author and philosopher Aldous Huxley. Difficult to pronounce his name, but what he has spoken here is something absolutely brilliant. He emphasized that kindness is the key. It's not rocket science. It's simply about trying to understand or feel what others might be experiencing. However, most of our interactions today are driven by benefits, focused on outcomes rather than connection. You know, what we need is to shift this approach and make our interactions truly human centric. That's what we were talking about a little while ago. Our interactions, our connections, are with human people. So right now, as you as you listen to me and Niti, I have a question for you. Another question: can you recall a time when you extended empathy to someone at your workplace? We always talk about I wasn't shown empathy by this so and so person, but when it comes to us, can we just recall a time when we extended empathy to someone at our workplaces who needed it the most? I mean, that person, that colleague, or even the boss, even our boss. Uh, so we were unempathetic towards him, or empathetic towards him. What motivated you to step up and show that empathy? Do you have any examples?
I guess
Such?
for this particular topic, everyone has something or the other to share, and we are really enjoying to read and getting to know that where we are. So now, please go on and keep sharing. Keep sharing. See, the point of sharing here is that we are somewhere helping each other to understand what we are going through when we are in an unempathetic environment
Absolutely.
ourselves, or we see others there.
Mm.
So bragging, if I'm admitting, no, Kalpana, it's it's humanistic behavior. So you would not be bragging anything. Go ahead and talk about it. I opened this entire discussion by sharing one of my experiences from the past instances where I was taking a training session.
And I
So
think yeah, yeah. So, sorry,
whatever
sorry.
happened later
Go
isn't
ahead, go ahead.
important, but that moment, what I felt, I also said that was empathy for me. The way I behaved, and I did not touch the deck. I continued to have a good time with them. That was empathy for me.
Mm.
So yeah.
And our audience, like the podcasts we organize and we conduct, we give khula chut to our audience to
So
be
yeah, we
empathetic
are
as well
creating an
as to
empathetic
brag.
environment, non-judgmental empathetic environment. Kalpana, go ahead and talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. You
All
can,
ears.
you are allowed to brag.
Please, all ears, all ears. We would love to. And this is a healthy bragging, Kalpana.
Yeah, yeah,
We would want to, I would want all of us to brag that how could we become an empathetic and inspire each other. So please go ahead and brag about it. And as you do that, we would also like to bring out here that though we all are aware of the numerous benefits of fostering and working in an empathetic workplace, while we do not want to touch on all of them today. We want to highlight four that we believe are the most significant. And we completely understand that everyone may have their own priorities. We would love to hear from you as well that what are the benefits that you believe that empathy can bring to a workplace. And as we share our thoughts, feel free to use the comment section to tell us what resonates with you. So yes, as Chiradeep shows us the benefit of having an empathetic
Yeah.
place.
We
Yes.
correct.
So, Chiradi, please show us the first
I was
benefit,
I was actually waiting for Kalpana to brag about something which I
which
can
is
learn, but I don't know.
we will have to wait because of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Fatima,
Wow.
for this praise. I mean, we were waiting for something else, and you gave us a surprise. So it is not was. We are still here.
Yeah.
Yes. Here goes Kalpana. Being in a foreign land, I never said no to any newcomer parent who asked for my help in attending PTMs. As I can speak a little bit French because I was in their shoes at some point of time. Well, that's
Mm.
no bragging, Kalpana. That's truly marvelous the way you could support them. They need it. I completely get it. I can say that we need such kind of support because even I have relocated to a new city where I do not know. And there's this one friend of mine who keeps helping me. I feel so grateful and heard at times when you have just one support. Even that one person makes an entire difference. So, absolutely, this is so relatable. And being at the receiving end in such a situation, I can tell you, it's one of every time when I think of how I adjusted here, from my heart, I feel so grateful to this one friend of mine who keeps helping me every time. So yes, so I am very sure you are receiving all good vibes from the from whomever you are helping. It's because I have been there.
Am I allowed
Right?
to brag also?
Sorry.
Am I, as a host or co-host, am I allowed to brag also with the audience? No. Anyway, so even Ranjana says that
Session for we are
self-reflection.
glad, we are humble. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for such
Yeah, there are
responses.
much more to go. I was supposed to share the benefits.
Yes, because we are running out of time, Chiradeep. We should
Yeah.
be mindful of
First
that
benefit
as
you
well.
can see, you can read out.
No, I
Uh,
guess everyone and everyone here would agree to it that nowadays we talk a lot about emotional well-being, which and
Correct.
empathy plays a vital role here.
Mm,
Or where when we are not stressed out every morning, if I as a person feel motivated that yes, today I need to get ready and go for work, that's where I believe my workspace is healthy, when I'm
mm,
motivated and I'm excited rather than I push myself out of the bed and I say, today again I have to go to office. That means what kind of environment we are giving.
correct.
But yeah, that is for us, this is the first benefit, that
Yeah.
is being.
Yeah.
Second benefit, Chiradeep.
I mean, when leaders and like as it is written, when there is a empathetic environment, uh, the leaders, the bosses, the colleagues, when they practice it, it opens up. I mean, authentic and genuine communication between each other, and they also respect each other's boundaries, respect each other's spaces, allows to open up in their own time. It as the benefits are explained. It encourages teamwork, innovation, and conflict. Rightly, rightly it is, isn't it? What do you think?
It's a ripple effect. It's a
Mm,
ripple effect. Because
absolutely.
I believe it starts from the top and it flows. So if you begin it, and that's what Fatima also says, that somewhere when we are showing empathy, it
Mm,
creates a ripple effect. So yes, yeah,
mm,
agreed on that point. That was our second benefit as per us.
correct, correct. And the third one is like increased productivity and performance. And the corporate sector, they are always focused on productivity and performance of the employee. But if the employees are not comforted and are not in a empathetic environment, then the production, their productivity, their performance gets affected. And I have seen it when I am disturbed. It becomes very difficult for me to work or concentrate. It affects my performance, declines, the quality of my performance. Yeah, it's a self reflection, as Ranjana said.
Yes, yes, agreed.
Do you have anything to say
No,
in this?
no, please.
Yeah.
Yes, let's go to our fourth benefit.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
love
think.
this one.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember the discussion after our last podcast. One of our audiences, he had a discussion with me that why people leave the job even if they are given so much of benefit. So probably this is one of the reasons why people are not. I mean, employees are not loyal, and retention is such a struggle for companies. Only empathy creates a sense of belonging and connection. Uh, what do you think? What is your comment on this? And I would like people to comment on our audience to comment on this particular uh,
On
benefit that
everything, on everything, on
on
the
everything.
benefit that even they believe that empathy can bring. I guess
Mm,
this is the we can say this is basically the byproduct, the outcome when we have
absolutely.
when an employee is going all motivated to the work, when we
Mm,
create the ripple effect of the ripple effect of empathy. That's how it
mm,
flows. We have better productivity, and we work, the
mm,
efficiency in the work
mm,
increases. With the
mm,
efficiency, the profit increases, the
mm,
growth increases of the organization as well as the individual growth, and that's how people retain. So I
mm,
guess they are all interlinked. That's how I
mm.
see.
Correct, correct.
So yes,
I have another question for my audience, our audience.
mhm, too many questions there. I would
I
believe.
know. I wanted our audience on their toes.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So we have shared two examples of how we can show empathy in our workplaces. So my question is, what are some other meaningful ways empathy can be demonstrated in the workplace? What do you think, the audience? This is a question for the audience, not for Niti. Do you have any ideas? If yes, then do share it with all in the comment section. It
And
will be
yes,
a
it's not.
wonderful. Yeah,
Please keep sharing, even if the podcast get over. Please, because
huh,
your comments are going to remain, and that's
correct,
more
correct.
important. So whoever goes back will learn something from each one of us. So
Yeah,
here in our podcast, we are not here to preach. We are here to learn from each other. That's the purpose of this podcast. And yes, Kalpana, I truly, truly agree with that. At the end of the day, we are human beings and we crave
correct.
for empathy, a kind word, and a supportive environment. That's
Absolutely.
the reason we said wherever we go, whether
Mm,
in our social gathering, in our family environment, or at our workplaces, wherever, kindness, as Chiradeep shared that quote, kindness is the key, 100%. And okay, so here we have another thing for you. How would you rate your own empathy at work on a scale from 1 to 10? And why did you choose that rating? So, whatever you choose for yourself, please. And for your benefit, Chiradeep, have you already posted or you are about to
I,
post?
I will I will post it. I will post it.
So he will post a link to test your empathy in the comment section. Use it and tag us the result or share it privately if you want to keep it a secret. So whatever it is, so that is again because it says that it is for self-reflection. So through that small questionnaire, we'll get to know that what is our, where do we stand in that list of empathy. Uh, One-to-one session time and again, don't wait to get it piled up. Yes. So here, let us see where we stand in that list of empathy. And whatever your scores are, you can share on LinkedIn and tag us, or you can even DM us wherever. Or if you want, you can keep it a secret and not share at all. Entirely up to you. But we encourage you to take that test. Right, Chiradeep?
Yep. And Kalpana shared.
That's a good scoring.
Not after
7.5.
the test. Not after the test.
It's
I
before
haven't
the
posted.
test.
Yeah, I haven't posted it because I don't know whether I can post from this end or not. So I will
We
post
can
it
do that
after the.
later. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, can't post message to some channels. Okay. So let me not post it here. After I finish, I will post it, and our audience can check it back. Come back to our podcast and check the link, which is an exceptional link. I can also share the my result. So yeah,
Great.
so, As Niti said, whoever wants to share their results, they can do that. And those who will have positive report will definitely share, and others might share it in private. Oops, I'm just kidding. We should be empathetic to you all concerning sharing your empathy test results. Keep it secret and improve yourself. This new year, to be more considerate and empathetic towards others in life, especially at your workplace.
I
Right?
would say everywhere, everywhere,
Yeah, everywhere.
everywhere.
Every.
So, empathy may seem like a small act, but its ripple
Mm,
effects, as we discussed, can transform workplaces and relationships. So,
mm,
as you reflect on today's discussions, think about one small step you can take to show empathy to someone at work. We would
mm.
love to hear your thoughts and experiences. So let's keep this conversation going. And even if you want to share something, post something on LinkedIn, please go ahead, post it. You can tag the two of us, or you can even tag hashtag heart over haste. Right, Charity?
Yes, empathy isn't just a concept. We need to remember that. It's not just a concept only. Don't stay there. It's a practice that requires conscious effort. Okay. Together, let's make workplaces more human centered and compassionate. Thank you for joining us tonight. Your participation makes these conversations meaningful. We both truly appreciate your participation. It was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm sure my co-host also enjoyed it. Yes,
Yes. Once again, we thank all of you to be a part of our podcast, to encourage us, to be with us. And it's a way of life, a happy one, 100% Kalpana. And we get to learn so much from you all, from your input. So we are truly thankful and grateful to each one of you. Let's practice empathy. Let's make it our second nature. And as we do that, you are most welcome. And as we always say, this was again one of the topics that was suggested to us from our audiences, one of the audience members.
yes,
Please go ahead. If there is something that you would want us to bring up on this forum, go ahead, share with us. You can share in the comment, you can DM either of us. And as you know, both of us happens to be life coaches. So just in case you believe that you are getting overwhelmed and you want any support from our end, please feel free to reach out to either of us. That's it for the day. Thank you so much. Good night, and thank you once more for joining in today. And as Chiradeep will post the link, please feel free to take up that test. If you would like us also to know your scores, share or keep the secret. Good or bad, Chiradeep, right?
yeah. We look forward to hearing your stories, reflections, and questions of whatever it is. Thank you so much, and
Good
good night.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night.